Hi, this is Matt at Engadget, and today we're taking a look at the Motorola RAZR I. Now this is looking pretty similar to the RAZR M, but this one will be coming to Europe and South America at the moment. And the important difference is the Intel inside. So this has got Intel's 2 GHz processor inside. It's the first time we've seen this in a factory model, and it's the first time, in fact, we've seen Intel putting their mobile processors into an established mobile manufacturer. And if we take a quick tour of the hardware, this is a 4.3-inch AMOLED display, and it's looking pretty nice. You'll notice these on-screen buttons, which always look very nice on the rich blacks of an AMOLED display. At the top here you've got a 0.3 megapixel front-facing camera, so just about serviceable for Skype and other video chat services. At the bottom you have the microphone there. As you notice, the screen pretty much dominates the whole of the face. Motorola's calling this edge-to-edge, but as you'll notice, there's still a fair little bit of bezel there. If we turn over to the back, you can find that familiar Kevlar coating, a Motorola brand, the Intel branding that we pointed out earlier, and the camera, which is a 8 megapixel sensor capable of 1080p video. There's also an LED flash. Intel's had some input into the camera here, so you've got a 10-shot burst setting and the camera will automatically launch within a second. That's worth mentioning because and another change from the RAZR M, this one comes with a camera button. Hope you can see that there. It's another two-stage one, and it has a little bit more give than the power button up here on the top. Between the two on this right edge, you also find the volume rocker. And if we just test it, oh, see, it's already launched there. So if we go from the home screen and lock it, if we press the camera button, it'll launch almost immediately into it. The camera itself is very similar to the RAZR M again. There's no white balance setting, unfortunately, although there is a very convenient multi-shot and HDR option that you'll find you'll use the HDR especially in low light conditions. But the camera is surprisingly functional and gave some pretty good results. You can see our photography in the full review at engadget.com. And just finishing off, the whole phone is actually coated in a water resistant layer, and that includes the chipset inside. It's not going as far to say it's waterproof, but hopefully it'll be able to last through any winter weather coming our way. On the other edge here you'll find there's a little slot, and there you'll find your space for your micro SIM there, and micro SD card, expandable up to 32 gigabytes. There's actually 5 gigabytes of functional storage already in the device. And finishing it all off, you have the micro USB port, which is also MHL, so there's no mini HDMI. It's all dealt with through that single port there. Apart from that, it's a pretty unassuming design. It feels very nice in the hand at this smaller size, but obviously it's still got that 4.3-inch screen. It's thin as you'd come to expect from the RAZR family. It's a surprising nice little handset. Despite the plastic shell, it feels very solid. There's no give in there, and the screen itself is also covered in Gorilla Glass, so that's always a useful thing to see. The RAZR I runs on Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, and it's looking pretty close to stock, to be honest. Obviously there's still different icons here and a few changes that you won't find on a Galaxy Nexus, but to be honest it's pretty close, and the things they have added are actually quite useful. At least we found them quite useful while reviewing the device. One of the main ones is the screen. From the main home screen, if you swipe to the right, you'll come to this quick settings option, which is a kind of substitute for having widgets in the drop down menu. So you have the likes of turning on to silent mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, mobile data, flight mode and phone lock. There's also a shortcut to all settings there. There's obviously none of these widgets in the drop down menu, which is a lot similar to a Nexus in styling. If we go back to the home screen, you'll find that generally it's pretty unassuming. You can add your widgets. The phone arrives with only one spare screen, so you can actually add either from a template or a blank page before you start adding apps and widgets. We like the idea that we don't have to run through the phone clearing out unnecessary stuff, so we're kind of glad Motorola did that as well. Another action which is worth taking a look at is the Smart Actions widget, which is back again, like most Motorola RAZR devices, and again they're still very useful. As we're seeing here, the low battery saver makes sense, to be honest. Once your battery goes below a certain point, you can start limiting your syncing, GPS and screen brightness. There's several other ones to tinker around with, and you'll definitely find something you'll be able to add to your phone to just automate it a bit more and make that battery last a little bit longer. Talking about battery, Intel has prided itself on the battery life of its new mobile processors, and the Motorola RAZR I does follow that. It gives a very good performance, especially on a typical day-to-day use. We were lasting a whole day without any concern really about plugging in to charge it up a bit more. The Medfield chip also gives superb performance. The UI is very smooth, and if we jump into the browser, you can see it gives a pretty good performance here. If we just jump into a new article on a Wi-Fi connection, obviously it's very swift. If we just play the video, you see it loads pretty quickly, and it's more than able to handle streaming video. As we spent our time playing around with the RAZR I, we found the performance is largely on par with a Snapdragon S4, and although that's a Qualcomm dual-core processor in comparison to Intel's single-core here, performance is about the same. One difference is, however, the app support. Now, we only had a few programs we were unable to install here, but there was one glaring omission, and that was Google's Chrome mobile browser. Now, Motorola have told us that the Chrome mobile app is already in beta and should see release before the phone hits shops, but at the moment you're stuck on the more typical Android browser here, which works fine enough, but Motorola has already made a statement that all of its new phones will be arriving with that new web browser, so it's a bit of a shame to not see it here. Overall though, very impressed with the device. For a mid-range phone, it works so well. It's smooth, the hardware is also solid. It might not have the most premium materials, but it feels very nice in the hand. You get that trademark Kevlar coating on the back. The phone should hit stores in October next month, and we've seen SIM-free prices for around £330. Check our full review at engadget.com. Thanks for watching.